Hello, everyone! Today, we will learn English through a very old story. This story happened a very, very long time ago in ancient Mesopotamia, the world of the Sumerians and Babylonians. It happened before books, before paper, before people wrote full sentences. At that time, people used wet clay. They pressed small marks into the clay using a stick. Then they left it in the sun. The clay became hard, and the message stayed forever. We still have some of those clay tablets today. But here is something interesting. They did not only write about business. They did not only write about food or animals. They also wrote about fear. Because life was difficult. There were no hospitals. There was no weather forecast. There was no electricity. People did not know what would happen tomorrow. Sometimes the rivers flooded. The water came suddenly at night. Families woke up and their homes were gone. Sometimes the crops died. One day the plants were green. The next day, they were brown and dry. Sometimes children became sick. The parents did not know why. There was no explanation. When people cannot explain something, their minds still search for meaning. So they began to imagine powerful beings. Beings who controlled the sky, the rivers, and even sickness. They called them gods. But these gods were not perfect. They became angry. They felt love. They felt jealousy. They acted like humans, only stronger. Why? Because chaos feels less frightening when someone is responsible for it. If lightning strikes randomly, it is terrifying. But if a god is angry, then maybe you can calm him. So people told stories. If the river flooded, they said a god was unhappy. If crops grew well, they said a god was pleased. If a storm destroyed the city, they believed someone had made a mistake. The story gave meaning to the disaster. These stories were not just religion. They were comfort. They helped people sleep at night. They helped parents explain the world to children. Instead of saying, "We don't know," they could say, "Someone powerful decided this." And slowly, something important happened. The first gods were not created as perfect beings. They were created as explanations. People were not trying to control nature. They were trying to understand life. Because humans can live with danger, but it is harder to live with confusion. So the first stories in history were not about heroes. They were about questions. Why do floods happen? Why do people die? Why does life change suddenly? Those questions were written into clay thousands of years ago, and today we are still asking them.